I'm honored to be with you today to celebrate and recognize the outstanding teams of Livingston County. It's pretty strange for me to think that I was sitting where you are 11 years ago. A lot's happened to me over those 11 years, and I've gone through many good and many bad experiences, which have given me some insight on life. I am by no means a motivational speaker, but I'd like to share 2 stories with you today, and I hope they inspire you to live life to the fullest. The first story I'm going to share with you involves doing the impossible. In 1954, the world record for the mile had remained stuck at 4 minutes and 1 second for more than a decade. Many thought it unbreakable, and dozens of medical journals reported that it was physiologically impossible for the human body to break through that barrier. However, there was one runner who refused to recognize the impossible. It's actually a story. Roger Bannister wavered like the northerly, fickle English weather with every hard gust that blew across Oxford's track on the evening of May 6, 1954. From the moment he left his London flat that morning, the 25-year-old medical student had obsessed about the wind. With one eye on the changing skies and the other on history, Bannister boarded the train to Oxford after completing his rounds at St. Mary's Hospital. Showers and sun bathed the rattling train as it carried Britain's top middle distance runner to his first track meet of the season and a chance at redemption. Bannister arrived at the Oxford track late in the afternoon and grew dismayed as he looked at the wind-whipped English flag stretched out horizontally from a nearby church steeple. If the wind remained steady, it would slow him down by 1 second per lap, meaning he would in actuality have to run a 3:56 mile. Bannister was unsure as to whether he should even attempt the race, until his impatient pacemakers demanded an answer a half hour before the race. Bannister looked up and saw the English flag slacken. Sensing a lull, he told them, "Right, we'll go for it." Here's where it gets good. At 6 p.m., Bannister towed the starting line with his fellow racers. His running spikes, which he had personally sharpened on a grindstone in the hospital laboratory earlier in the day, dug into the cinder track. As the starter raised his gun, the 1,500 spectators bundled in overcoats and scarves shuttered their mouths in silence and focused their eyes on the 6-foot, 2-inch Brit. Bannister took a quick glance at the flag, which still fluttered gently. The gun fired, and Brasher, who was his pacer, sprinted to the lead. Bannister glided effortlessly behind his slipstream and noticed that his legs seemed to meet no resistance at all, as if propelled by some unknown force. Everything appeared to move in slow motion, including Brasher. "Faster!" Bannister commanded his pacemaker, who ignored the order and kept his steady gait as it completed the first lap on the first quarter mile over in 57.5 seconds. So he was ahead of pace. He reached the halfway point at 1:58, still ahead of pace. Cataway now took the lead, but the pace slowed. Uh-oh. Bannister completed the third lap in 3 minutes, 0.7, and needed to post a 59-second final lap to make history. With 300 yards to go, Bannister began his kick. Impelled by a combination of fear and pride, he breathed in the encouragement of the crowd. The soles of his running shoes kicked up the track's ashes in their wake. As he approached the tape at the finishing line, it appeared to recede with every step he took. After several endless seconds, he lunged at the thin wire and felt the pain explode in his body. Bannister was confident he had broken the record, but only the stopwatches held the truth. Do you think he did it? It'd be pretty bad if I told that entire story and then you could have to do it, right? The time on the watch read 3:59.4. He had done what was said to be impossible. He had broken 4 minutes in the mile. So, I've heard that story a bunch of times, but to me, the most amazing part of the sub-4 mile is what occurred after the sub-4 mile. Once the world heard that someone had broken 4 minutes in the mile, every runner in the world had a mental awakening. It wasn't impossible. 46 days later, and again, to remind you, A whole decade went by where no one could run faster than 4:01. 46 days later, another runner broke 4 minutes, and several other runners broke 4 minutes soon after that. It wasn't that their training had changed, or that running the mile became easier, but their mindset had changed. So the second story is about me and my journey of running. So I ran my first marathon 5 years ago at Disney World. I was fresh out of college and excited to make my debut in the marathon scene. I guess I shouldn't have ate all the chocolate drubels and licorice wands from the Harry Potter amusement park the day before. It was a really bad idea, because the race ended in disaster with me barely finishing the race. However, I didn't let my poor finish at my first marathon dampen my spirits. I continued to train hard and attempted my second marathon in Boston a year later. During that marathon, I had the race of a lifetime. I passed some of the top marathon runners in the world, something that most people would consider impossible. I did. I really thought it was impossible, passing all those people. After the race, several people asked me, how does an amateur runner from the small town of Mount Morris compete against sponsored runners from around the world? The answer to that is simple, but can be very, very hard to do. And it may sound a little bit cliche, but you have to believe in yourself, which can be very difficult. Up to this point in my life, it had been my dream to qualify for the Marathon Olympic trials. But my best time put me just over 2 minutes away from the qualifying time. How hard could it be to drop 2 minutes in a marathon? I mean, it's 26 miles, right? So it's not that much. I spent the next 4 years training and attempting to run the qualifying time. But I failed time and time again and again. Finally, less than 2 weeks till the cutoff date for the Olympic trials, I decided to go for broke, and a half marathon in Jacksonville, Florida was set up as a last chance race for Olympic trial hopefuls. The odds were stacked against me, as I needed to drop almost 2 minutes from my personal best in a half marathon to qualify, which is much harder. During the race, I thought of all the miles training I'd run over the past 4 years, all the workouts on the track, the blood, the sweat, the tears, all my family and friends that had given me more support than I could ever hope for. I channeled all of that energy into every step. I ran along the road on Jacksonville. With 3 miles to go, it felt like someone had set fire to my lungs, and my legs felt like they were full of battery acid. But I kept going, one painful step at a time. It's almost impossible for me to describe to you how I felt coming down that final straightaway, watching the clock tick away, knowing that I was going to qualify for the Olympic trials. So when I crossed the line, I had made it. And I'm pretty sure I'm the first person from Mount Morris to make the Olympic trials in a marathon. So my message to you tonight is this: don't let anyone or anything tell you what is possible. You might not reach your goal on the first try, or second try, or 12th try, but don't give up. Keep your friends and your family close, because everyone needs help sometimes. Believe in yourself. The mind is capable of more than you'll know. Thanks for listening to me tonight, and congratulations to all of you for being nominated for the Team Recognition Award. Thanks.